Okay, the next step is to grab your burn tool, and the burn tool is located underneath your dodge tool or the sponge right here in your toolbar. Make sure you have your wall background layer selected. I labeled it wall background, and then you're just going to put your exposure to 20% at the top, and make sure you have your midtone selected. Now, my hardness is down to 0 for the brush, and then the master diameter is right there. It's kind of a larger brush. That's all right. Kind of hit the corners. Just kind of drag it up and down. You'll see how the blue gets darker. And I'm going to hit this area too on the back wall. Okay, on both. Alright. Make it nice and dark. Give a eerie kind of effect here. Okay. You can also do that to the wall texture to darken up some of the dark black. Okay. On these textures. You just want to give it this illusion that it's kind of this eerie antique kind of room. Alright, that's step number 1 for part 2. The next step is we're going to add in the floor. Well, actually it's a water, it looks like oceans, but it'll play it as the floor. So let's go to File, Open. We're going to grab this file off of the desktop folder that we've dragged over into our stock folders. It's called Stormy Sea right here. Open up the Stormy Sea picture. Click Open. Here it is. We're going to just select the part of the floor here though. Okay, so I'm going to get my rectangular marquee tool out again. Select just this part of the floor. Alright. I'm going to cut it, Apple X. I'm going to paste it into my document, Apple V. Okay? Or edit, cut, edit, paste. Move it into place. Apple T is transform or edit transform scale. Hold down Shift, scale it out. But you're saying it's above my wall. How do I make it so it's below my wall? We'll get to that in a second. Okay, double click. It should take up the whole floor. But now all we have to do is go over to our, let's label this real quick, water, floor, and move it underneath the background. There we go. Okay, that's step 2 of part 2. We need to now create a brush and a wave brush to have waves crashing up against the walls to add to the effects. Okay, so let's go to File, Open, and there should be a wave JPEG into the stock folders folder, same place as you pull up all the other ones. Click on the wave. There we go. Let's use that one. Click Open. Now we need to turn this into a brush like we did before. So let's go to Image, Adjustments, Threshold, and notice how much contrast we get here. Click OK. For our purposes, we could probably just leave it like this, but let's get that whole thing with the elliptical marquee tool again and select just a portion of it. Okay, go to Select, Modify Feather at 5. Let's cut, paste it back in, Apple X, Apple V, get rid of the background. Okay, now we can define brush preset, edit define brush preset. There's our wave, click OK. Now we're good to go over here. Let's go to our brush tool. Find our brush that we just created. Here's the wave. There's our wave brush. Okay. It's got a nice feathered edge. Increase the size. We'll take down the size slightly here. That looks good. Make sure the flow is low. With the brush tool, it's great to hold down the Alt key. If you hold down the Alt key, you can quickly select with a bullseye certain colors on your work document. And notice when you click, the color picker changes color. But for some reason it's changing the background color, so we gotta switch that. Or you can just select white, black and white. That works too. So on a new layer, we're going to create a new layer and name it Waves. And just start to brush in some waves crashing up against the wall here. Let's increase our flow slightly on our airbrush to, let's say, 20%. And let's move our waves layer to the top. Okay. Oop, you see how difference that made? Okay, let's step back. Move our waves layer to the top. And we can always erase that later. Take the flow down to 10%. Maybe take down some size. I think that's a little big. That'd be a little bit better here. Just kind of brush it in. We can erase some of that later, but we're just going to brush it in slightly. You gotta get kind of painterly with it. Use random applications to this. Okay, we're just going to doctor it a little bit, you know, and then change the color. Hold on the Option key, change the color to a light blue, switch it over so it's the foreground color. Yours should automatically switch it to the foreground, make the color of the foreground color, but this might help here. Okay, so darken up, make some blue colors in there, and we can always erase some of this too with an eraser. So now I'm going to select the eraser tool and choose the same brush as my paint tool, but this time it's going to be eraser. And now I'm going to just hit parts of this with it. So it's kind of a backwards model in a way. We're kind of now just taking parts of this that we want. Maybe my pressure is a little bit too much right now. Okay, I can go back with it. You want to work back and forth, okay, between the brushes. Switch this over. Work it back in. This part of the tutorial is going to take the longest because you want to really make this effect look real. Okay, like there's waves actually crashing up against the wall. You don't want to overdo it though. You want to keep it subtle. Okay, switch the color one more time to a blue. Once again, to do that, you hold down Option and click on any kind of blue color in here that you want to keep, and then switch it over. It's got to be the foreground color. Remember, it's got to be the foreground color. And just hit in some blue here. You can even get a darker blue if you want to add to the effect. But I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to leave it like that. That's get ready for your next step. We have 2 steps left. We are going to bring in the boat and add in the clock. So let's go to File, Open. Let's click on the boat, the toy boat picture. Click Open. Let's zoom in. Spacebar Apple is a quick command for zoom. Or I can just type in 300 down here. Let's get rid of this brush tool and select our magnetic lasso tool. Okay. So let's carefully go around our boat. Might need to help it out a couple times by clicking. I'm actually going to go around my reflection too because I want that part. So I'm going to go around this reflection in the water. Magnetic lasso tool is not doing a perfect job, so I'm going to click on this Refine Edge button right here. Click on the Refine Edge button, and now let's play around with the radius, just see what it looks like. That's no good. So bring the radius back down slightly. Okay. contrast. Kind of want a fuzzy edge. Nope, don't want a smooth. We want. Okay, well, that's not pretty good. Let's bring the feather up to, let's say, where it was. That's not bad right in there. Maybe 1.3. Expand it a little bit. Plus 11. You can type in these coordinates as well. 1.3. Click OK. Looks pretty good. We're going to cut this. Apple X or edit cut. Apple X or edit cut. And paste it in. Apple V. There he is. He's super tiny down there, right? So that's Apple T for edit, transform, scale. Edit, transform, scale. And hold on the shift key and scale it out. Scale it out. Keep the proportions the same. Double click. Okay. Now we can doctor up this boat a bit. I think what I'm going to do is get my burn tool out and just burn the boat slightly. Make it darker. Okay. What you also want to do is get the reflection and take the reflection down slightly. So we're going to zoom in onto the reflection piece. And we can use, let's try the quick selection tool this time. Make sure that we have the layer 1 boat layer. Let me type in boat. Now, it's reading too many pixels, so let's just use the magnetic lasso tool. Actually, we can just quickly go around here and then go right along the edge of our boat. Because we want to put this on a new layer, so just loosely select your reflection of the boat with either the magnetic lasso tool or the regular lasso tool. Okay. Apple X or edit cut. Apple V. Paste it back in. Okay. We have a little issue there with the line, so I'm just going to take the eraser. Oh, take the eraser tool and just click on my boat layer and just erase that stuff right there. Don't need that. Okay. I'll go back to our reflection. Move it into place. I'm going to put a slight overlay on this. Okay, just to darken it up. And I'm going to take the eraser, a very low, very soft eraser, and just hit the corners up here with this of the reflection. Just hit the edges. Okay. Because you want it to look like the water, it's on the water surface. We can also take down the opacity slightly. Okay? Take down the opacity slightly, and that looks like it kind of works. We can also smudge it if we want to. We can get the smudge tool out and and make it look like it's kind of working with the waves. Okay. Smudge and push it. Increase the strength a little bit. Increase the strength. And then just make it look like it's riding the wave. Okay? Just like that. Alright? Last but not least, we have the clock.